And we're now at a 50% duty cycle on RCS settling. Fuel tank pressure steadied out right as expected. As before, bus battery voltages continue to look good. Tank pressures look good. And we're now in the process of turning to our MES-2 attitude. Vehicle sequence continues to be executed nominally. Seeing some changes in pitch and yaw rates as the vehicle reorients itself. Roll rate continues at our PTC roll rate. Just passed through 36 minutes in the mission. Everything continues to look good. Now 5 minutes to MES-2. Passing through 37 minutes into the mission, the vehicle continues to change its pointing for MES-2 attitude with a positive 1.5 degree per second PTC roll. 50% settling is in progress as expected. We're actively controlling fuel tank pressures, conditioning the propellants. Thirty-eight minutes into the mission, everything looking good. And we are despinning from our PTC roll as expected. We are now inside of 3 minutes to second burn. Our second burn sequence will begin with switching to 100% settling. We will then increase propellant tank pressures, followed by LH2 pre-start, 33 seconds prior to MES. And an LO2 pre-start sequence. It starts just under 18 seconds before MES. Two minutes to second burn. Vehicle continues to reorient itself to our second burn attitude. And we're about to start our pre-mess sequence. And we've begun our pre-mess sequence. We're at 100% settling. And we're now adjusting tank pressures, fuel tank pressure coming up. Everything's looking good for the second burn of Centaur. This will be a 5.5 minute nominal burn. Now 20 seconds to pre-start on LH2. Continuing to change our tank pressures as expected. And we have LH2 pre-start. PU valve is moving to its start position. LOX pre-start. Looking good, coming up on mess. Ignition, full thrust. Main engine is up to nominal operating parameters. Everything looks good. And we're seeing expected start transient is being nulled out in rates. Engine operating pressures are looking good. We are now in closed loop control and PU. We're correcting out a bit of a LOX bias. And coming back up to a nominal mixture ratio. Seeing expected settling, we are executing a hydrazine burn-off sequence during the second burn to maximize vehicle performance. Engine pressures are looking good, rates are good. PU is controlling normally. And we're continuing to see expected reaction control system activity. Engine pressures are good, nice and smooth. PU control is very smooth. Just a little off nominal mixture ratio. Vehicle rates are nice and smooth. Everything looks good. And we're inside of 200 seconds to MECO 2. PU is now controlling nominal mixture ratio point. Engine pressures have been reacting to our changes in mixture ratio as expected. Engine operation is nice and smooth, good pressures. Vehicle rates are smooth. Mass area is smoothing out very nicely. Continuing to see expected reaction control system activity. Virtually no roll control appears to be needed. PU is continuing to control nominally. Now making a slight LOX correction. Engine pressures look good. Centaur continues to burn normally. Good engine pressures, Good body rates. RCS activities right as expected. We are smoothly accelerating. 1.26 Gs. Good PU control. "100 seconds to MECO 2. Everything looking good, burning normally. Rate smooth, PU smooth, engine pressures steady at the appropriate levels. Inside of 1 minute to MECO 2. Following MECO 2, we'll have a 5-minute, 49-second coast duration to a spacecraft separation at 52 minutes, 42 seconds from liftoff. Everything looks good. 30 seconds to cut off. Inside of 20 seconds. 10 seconds to nominal cutoff time. Coming up on second main engine cutoff. And we have cutoff. Approximately 4 seconds long, well within our dispersions. Everything looks good. We are 4S settling. And vehicle rates are nulling out from the shutdown transient. Everything looks good. We are now executing our pre-spacecraft separation sequence. Everything looks good there. We are reorienting to our SEP attitude.
As mentioned, it'll be almost 6 minutes before spacecraft separation occurs.
Rates look good. Continuing to change our pointing for spacecraft SEP. For this mission, there is no spin-up required. All rates will be nulled for separation. We're now at a 50% duty cycle on reaction control system. We've unlocked the vent valve right on time, venting the hydrogen tank. Pressure's coming down as expected. And everything looks good in this pre-spacecraft SEP sequence. Body rates are nulling out. Tank pressures look good, right where they're supposed to be. RCS activity is good. Continuing our expected sequence.
We're now 49 minutes, 10 seconds into the flight of the Atlas V with MAVEN. Spacecraft separation is at 52 minutes, 42 seconds.
Yeah, 3 minutes to spacecraft's up. Everything looking good in this coast base coming up to spacecraft's up. Vehicle sequencing continues to be as expected. Two minutes to spacecraft's up. Everything looking good. And we're seeing our expected performance from the reaction control system. Body rates are null at 0. We've apparently achieved our pointing for spacecraft SEP. One minute to spacecraft separation. "30 seconds to spacecraft's up. Everything looking good." "10 seconds to spacecraft's up. Everything looks good. Rates nulled out. We have spacecraft separation. Both brake wires indicate MAVEN has successfully separated from Centaur. Everything looking as expected. We are reorienting to CCAM. And with the successful separation of the MAVEN spacecraft, this concludes the commentary for the launch of AV-38 with the MAVEN spacecraft.
And we're now 53 minutes, 18 seconds into the flight of MAVEN. MAVEN is now cruising on its own. We will be having our NASA Launch Director, Omar Baez, come over very shortly and talk to us about how the countdown and how the flight of the Atlas V went. The spacecraft over the next hour or so will be going through a number of activities, including deploying the solar arrays and going power positive with the sun. And we will have a spacecraft status at our post-launch news conference scheduled for 4 p.m. So at this point, all of the data indicates that we've had a very good flight of the Atlas. We'll have Omar Baez come over and talk to us about that here in just a moment. And MAVEN is now on the way to Mars. So we'll be standing by now. They are watching carefully data that will be coming in through the Canaveral tracking station. And the Perth tracking station in Australia is also actually the station that makes the initial acquisition of MAVEN before it passes over Canberra. This is Atlas Launch Control, 56 minutes, 12 seconds into the flight of the Atlas V with MAVEN. Spacecraft separation has occurred, and so now joining us here at the Console and Mission Director Center is Omar Baez, who was our NASA Launch Director and NASA Launch Manager for the countdown and launch today. So, Omar, first of all, tell us how the flight of the Atlas appeared to go.
Thank you, George. The flight of the Atlas and Centaur were flawless from everything we could tell. Separation occurred on time. All the marked events occurred on time. We got it off on the first opportunity, and the separation looked fine. So all we're waiting for now is for the spacecraft to go through their sequence and deploy their solar arrays. And that should happen anytime in the next 5 to 15, 20 minutes or so.
How did the countdown go from your perspective?
We had a nice quiet countdown. Major things we were worrying were electrification in the air, and there was a bunch of ambo clouds that were streaming over the area and had the potential for triggering lightning if we were to launch during those events, but that it was short-lived. We had 2 or 3 little scares there, and then we pressed on. It started to get cloudy in the area here, but none of that weather really violated any of the constraints. So we were good from a weather perspective. We worked a minor pressure transducer issue, and it just turned to be a little bit out of family high, but within the tolerance. So there was no vehicle issues to speak of.
So if MAVEN phones home, then we've had a very successful launch. Tell us what's coming next. It's not far to our next Atlas launch after this one here at Kennedy.
Yeah, the next Atlas launch will be in January, the TDRS L mission, but the ULA team does have one before that out at Vandenberg on December 5. And so we're looking forward and wishing them luck on that so that they can come back and work on TDRS for us.
Well, Omar, thank you very much. It's all good news on the flight of the Atlas V. Thank you very much. And we're now 58 minutes, 48 seconds into the flight of MAVEN. This is Atlas Launch Control.
Com check, channel 1.
Copy, com.
Go ahead, Ed.
Hello there, team. This is Charlie Bolden. I just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody. All day we've been saying, go Atlas, go Centaur, go MAVEN, and that's for a reason. It's because this is the effort or the effort of a really tight team that's been working pretty hard. But one thing I will tell you is that I would hope that this mission will be a model for the ones that come after it. They say imitation is the grandest form of flattery. And I think the best way that we can pay tribute to all of you is to have other missions come in cost and on schedule the way that you all have done, because that's what's going to make people have faith in us and believe what we say when we talk about doing even grander things like putting humans on Mars. But again, you all have done an absolutely incredible job. Let me thank everybody, and I'll let you go back to work so you can finally get home to your family, hopefully. But thanks again for everything. Great job.
Our NASA Administrator Charlie Bolden has just congratulated the Atlas V launch team, including United Launch Alliance and the NASA Launch Services Program. We have had confirmation that the solar arrays on MAVEN have deployed. We got that confirmation at 2:54, and the arrays are out. We are now waiting for a look at the data of the overall state of health of the spacecraft, and that will take a little bit of time to come in, and the spacecraft has just begun reorienting itself into the phone home attitude, and they will be looking at the data there over the next half hour, and we should be able to have our post-launch news conference at 4 o'clock, assuming they get all the data that they're looking for, indicating that the spacecraft state of health is good. But we do have confirmation that the solar arrays did begin to deploy on time, and that is complete, and they are out. So at any rate, they are now verifying that the spacecraft is power positive and looking at the overall state of health of MAVEN. But everything indicates that everything has gone completely nominally. So at this point, this will conclude our launch coverage on NASA television of the launch of MAVEN on the Atlas V. Our next event will be the post-launch news conference at approximately 4 p.m. This is Atlas Launch Control.